Good. And I'm going to ask everybody to not use the chat beyond this point until the end, because I won't have time to look at it. I have like a little introduction that I'm planning on doing here. And then after that introduction, I am planning on just doing the transmission. And then the transmission, as soon as it's over, I can go to the chat then and everybody can kind of put in any comments that they have, as well as any questions that they have at that point in time. So it just kind of works best for me if we do it that way. Okay. So again, welcome. I'm Reverend Anna Jones, and for those of you who received the email are the ones that are able to join in, but I hope that you feel free to share it. It was kind of spontaneous. I was leading another teleconference, Zoom conference this afternoon for a private group. And so I didn't know for sure if I was going to be doing this, but Archangel Michael has been doing a series and asked to do a series of full moon global transmissions this year, and didn't know if this was actually going to be one of the ones until yesterday when I sent the email out. I was prompted right before to make sure that it happens and make sure that I did it. So I'm here and I'm happy to be facilitating whatever role that Archangel Michael asked me to play. I've been working with him my whole life, but my role as a conscious trance channel for him began in the early 1990s. Not just Archangel Michael, though, do I use my abilities and my gifts at being able to do transmissions for. Also, I do personal, private, one-on-one readings in which it's your angels. In fact, for many, many, many years, I didn't do the global transmissions. It was just private session work, like I still offer, and that you can find on my website at annajonesonline.com if you want to learn more about me and read my bio. Perhaps if you don't know of my work already, maybe you shared this with a friend or something. Perhaps read my bio, listen to the interview that's on the homepage, which tells you a lot more about my history as a mystic, as a modern day mystic. Being a spiritual mystic in this modern day world is not an easy thing to do by any means, but it is something that I've been doing for many, many years, and I've been an interfaith minister since 1993. And so all that information is up on the AnnaJonesOnline.com website for you to browse. What's also available on that website for you is the recordings, actually. In fact, the recording of this message, this transmission that will be received tonight, will be posted on the podcast page. So all of the transmissions that are going to come through, and however many of these global full moon messages happen this year, and I don't know a definitive number yet, unlike previous years where there's been a set number, there's not a set number, there's not even a set determination that the next one is even going to be happening yet. So hopefully it'll be again next full moon, but again, I'm just kind of waiting to get the indications of that. But all the ones that previously have happened this year, including all the way back to the winter solstice that kind of began kind of a new cycle of transmissions from Archangel Michael, that they are already up on the Celestial Voice podcast, which you can access through my website. So just go to AnnaJonesOnline.com, click on podcast, and Celestial Voice podcast is the name of the podcast. And then all of the messages are there by the most frequent, recent messages is the one at the top. And so the ones that you see at the top are all the most recent messages going down. But all of them are timeless, including the messages from last year, which were very amazing messages on emotions that are all still applying. So even though they are happening at full moons or sea solstices or equinoxes, which are special times for the messages to come through, it's not like those messages are just for this time period, right? They usually contain what I call perennial wisdom or timeless wisdom that continues to apply. And if you don't want to go to the website to get it, you prefer to download it directly and listen to it through the Apple Podcast app. You can get it through the Apple Podcasts, or what some people still call iTunes. Either one of those, whichever you call it, it's the same podcast. Celestial Voice podcast is available on iTunes, Apple Podcasts. And you just go on to Apple. You can even subscribe there, and you can listen to, again, all of the most recent ones that are at the top. And then you can see the whole sequence of all the different, everything on that particular podcast are messages from Archangel Michael. Again, that you'll find by reading the title, by reading the description. to have just very pertinent, interesting things. Going all the way back to message number one, I always feel like message number one is like always going to apply. Like it's about like how we can, like where are we sourcing things from, and sourcing from source. So even scroll through there, listen to anything you'd like. I will send out an email, but the best way is to subscribe well, it's actually on YouTube now too. So all the most recent ones from this year and from last year. So it's only been this year and last year that I started the YouTube channel for Celestial Voice Podcast. So that's another place you can subscribe. You can subscribe on iTunes, or you can subscribe on YouTube, and that's the easiest way to get an instant notification if you subscribe that it's been posted, because it still might take a while for me to get the emails out and let everybody know that that the podcast is up. So that's where you'll be able to listen to the recordings of tonight. But I'm going to share a few first and foremost, I'm going to share a few things about tonight's full moon that I did some research on, which was special and unique. And I think that's another reason why this one felt very right. And he was kind of indicating that this was another important one to do for these reasons. So this isn't the only full moon in May, if you noticed, right? There was on May 1st was the last time we did one of these full moon global transmissions. So here it is, May 31st. And we're experiencing a second full moon in May. So second full moon in one calendar month is what's called a blue moon. Is a blue moon named after a color of the moon? No. Does the moon change color? Does it look bluish in the sky? If it does, it may be synchronistic. I have seen sometimes the moon look bluish in the sky, but it would be just a synchronicity. It's not because the moon is blue, but it is because it is a second full moon in a Gregorian calendar, which is the man-made calendar system of the Gregorian calendar month of any given month that it falls in, right? So it is the second one. That's what makes it a full moon. Blue moon, but it's not really common. I think I saw that the next one happening is in 2 years from now. I don't have the date on that exactly, but it's been a while since there's even been one. So it's not very common phenomena. That doesn't happen every single year. It's not extremely rare. Like there's been some instances of extremely rare celestial events that have happened, but it is one of the more uncommon ones, and it is one that we all kind of feel more. Maybe because we are tuned into the man-made calendar clock, but our minds are tuned more into the man-made calendar clock, but our bodies and our spirits and even our emotions and our heart are tuned into the rhythms of the natural time clock, right? So I think we may feel it a little bit more because it is something that these natural rhythms we were talking about entrainment in the last group that I was in, the natural rhythms of the moon and play a very powerful role in the oceans of the sea, but they also play a very powerful role in the oceans of our emotions and the ocean of the energy that moves through our bodies, and our bodies are kind of very much affected by full moons in general, right? And the movement of the moons, the energies of the moon. So the fact that I think our minds and our systems and our culture is tuned into this kind of man-made calendar month, and then there's also the lunar month. I think we do somehow feel it. Somehow everybody feels the blue moons do feel special to us. But it's not just a blue moon. It's also what is called a micro moon. I noticed it very much last night. The actual peak of the moon was early this morning, but we're in the period yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So it'll be a 3-day window, just like it is with the equinoxes and the solstices, the day of, the day before, and the day after. Is when the time period of each of those happens, and also with the full moons and the new moons, the day of, the day before, and the day after is the time period of the full moon. So we're in that time period of the full moon, and so we'll be experiencing the energies last night, experiencing the energies tonight. We'll even be still experiencing some of the energies tomorrow. But the micro moon, the reason why I noticed it is I looked out and I was like, okay, usually the full moons are really bright, and it wasn't very bright. And when I looked at it, I could see with your physical eyes, you can see that it appears to be farther away. Well, it appears that way because it actually is. Usually it's 232,000 plus miles away from the Earth on full moons, especially, but that's kind of approximate. And tonight's one is like 250 some thousand. So it's literally about another 20,000 plus miles away from the Earth in its rotation. There's always what's called moon in apogee, which is farthest away. There's always in every lunar cycle, which is every 28 days, a time period when the moon is in apogee, when the moon is its farthest away in that cycle, and there's always a time when it's closest to the Earth in that cycle. Those are called supermoons if they falls on a new moon or a full moon, right? So if it's closest to the Earth, it's called a supermoon. If it's a new moon, it's a super new moon. If it's a full moon, it's called a super full moon. But when it's farthest away and it's in apogee, then it's a micromoon. And this particular one is the farthest away of any full moon of the year of 2026. So, and it's not always on full moon, right? When it's in its cycle, it could fall on any time period. But when this particular one happens to fall on, so again, happens to, it's the alignments, right? It's what's in alignment. It's the synchronized alignment. The full moon is in alignment with the time period that it happens to be in this apogee farthest away, and the farthest away of 2006. So not just the farthest away in the lunar cycle, but in the yearly cycle of the lunar year, right, of the lunar year. So that means it's going to not appear this far away or feel this far away. And it does mean that it feels like the light of the moon is not as strong. It feels like it's not as bright or as strong. And I was feeling that too. I was like feeling like, it really doesn't feel like that light is as strong. And that was another thing when Archangel Michael asked me to do this, that I felt like he wanted to do a light activation, not just, and he's done that before, not just a global transmission, message transmission, which is an energy activation that goes with it. But he often sends light, and he often does light activation, but he particularly wanted to put in the title this time, like, an angelic transmission and light activation. So I don't know if he's planning on leading something for light activation for all of us, or if it's just some kind of amplified work that he's planning on doing, energy work, light work, which he always does with the planet and with all of us during the time period that he has to do these things. But he's not just doing it through me; he's doing it through all of us, and he's doing it through the work that he intends to do anyway. Right? I think he would do it whether I choose to do this or any of us choose to do this. And anyway, that's been very clear to me all along. The years and years I've been doing this, the angels do these things. They just ask us to play a role, right? Like just asking me to play my role, do my part, asking you to play your role, do your part. Plus, it's a great opportunity to receive from Archangel Michael at a time when perhaps we may be needing more light. Because in the shadow of night, because night is a shadow that is cast, in the shadow of night, the new moons are the time period where we really need to kind of self-generate that light and tune into the inner light. Also, the micromoons are a time period for us to self-generate the inner light and come together to unite our light. I feel that this is increasingly more and more important, to come together and to unite our light. So the other thing is that there's also some planets that are aligning with this particular full moon tonight, and particularly the two most significant ones in that planetary alignment are Venus and Jupiter. You can actually see them in the west, and while the moon rises in the east on the full moon, so they'll be setting in the west at the time that the moon rises, the full moon rises in the east. So the full moon always rises in the east and goes from east to west, just like all the stars and everything, the planets go from east to west. So in the west, there'll be the alignment of Jupiter and Venus, which will actually be visible tonight, if you can see them in the west horizon from where you are. And then this micro moon that will be rising in the east and crossing, and we'll be feeling the need to kind of self-generate, more activate the inner light and the light kind of all around us. But yeah, so that's some of the unique energies of this particular time that we're in. So what are we going to do this evening? for those of you who've not participated in these before, I'll share just a little bit for your benefit. The angels decades ago, in the early 1990s, when I started consciously communicating with Archangel Michael, and he started giving me basically guidance and asking me to be one of the channels for him, and to use my mediumship abilities to bring through messages and global transmissions for him came later. But I started doing that a very long time ago, and they gave me, in that time period, not at the very beginning, but in that time period, in the early 1990s, they gave me a process to use that they said that if I use it, it would always work to facilitate these communications, and these really like a sacred communion, sacred correspondence type of experience that I have. I'll be doing it from, as I always do, from a deep meditative trance state, but I take us through a process first, the process that they gave me. So they said the process starts by always making sure to ask questions, never to approach them without asking questions, that the questions are like the keys that unlock the doors to not just the answers that we're seeking, but even to energies that can come, new awakenings that can occur, etc. So in the global transmissions, I always create the questions or just come up with the questions as I'm going along and put the questions out there on all our behalf. And it doesn't mean that he can't go in any other direction that he wants, because part of the process is a guided prayer that I will also be doing, a guided invocation, and guided prayer is a part of that invocation. And as we progress through that invocation, giving him permission to speak freely about anything that he feels is for our highest good to know is a very important part of it too. So it's not like he's just going to be limited to answering the questions. In fact, a lot of times he doesn't answer my questions. He goes into a totally other different topic, or he answers my questions in a very different way than the way that I thought I was putting them out there. So that happens quite frequently, actually. But again, the instructions for the process is to never approach without questions. So I'm going to talk about a few things, and as I talk about them, I'll be kind of putting my questions out there as I go along. And then I'm going to take us through the step-by-step process, which is 4 things done in 5 steps, which will be praising, and I'll share that with you as the time comes, asking, thanking, receiving, and then back to praising again. So almost like a circle of a clock. That time is more like a circle, right? So praising, asking, thanking, receiving, and back to praising again. So I'll guide us through that process, and it's in the receiving process that he will be transmitting whatever light, whatever energy, also whatever vocal transmission that he'll be putting and sending through. And he, whenever he asks to do this, he always comes through really strong during these time periods, and it can be very moving and very profound. So I'll tell you more about that as time comes, and when we get close to going through that. For right now, I'll just share a few things about what my questions are. Some of my questions are in follow-up to the last 2 transmissions. I'm really interested in all the most recent ones, but the last 2 transmissions especially, he has gone into some unique depth about the nervous system, and the nervous system as being a interface for the soul with the body. That part really is fascinating to me. I've never quite channeled anything like it, and I've never come across anything exactly like the things that he's been saying as far as the expanded role the nervous system plays with our own energy system and our own energy anatomy. Also the role that it plays as even a part of the energy anatomy of the tree of life within us. So there's been some very unique things that he's stated. So I just wanted to see if he's finished yet. Just invite him to continue to say anything that he feels might need to be further said about the nervous system. I asked him last time if it was one of his themes or exactly what his theme might be, because oftentimes he's had themes that he talks about during these series of transmissions in the past. He said if he does have a theme, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, that he said his theme was alignment, right? That he said his theme was alignment. So that would also be another question I have. Is there anything further, and what further does he have to say on the topic of alignment, living in alignment, acting in alignment, co-creating in alignment, just anything that he wants to say that could be helpful for our lives, bringing our lives into alignment, realigning our world, etc. Right? Just anything at all on that topic of alignment. But getting back to what I was saying about the nervous system, anything else on that topic whatsoever. But I am very curious about. He spoke about last month in the Global Transmission, well, it was actually the one on May 1st. So it's the one on the podcast that's in the position at the top, right? Right now it's at the top. He spoke about the 5-5-5-5 breath. So it's 5-5-5-5 breathing that he describes in my Keeping Your Heart Open book, which is up on the shelf back there behind me. It's a channeled book from Archangel Michael, and that's when he starts to give some details, and it's written about in that book. And there's further details that he's gone to in other transmissions, but it is one of the places that you can find information about this 5-5-5-5 breathing. That he described that as being very helpful for the nervous system. But I would really be interested in finding out, and I'm sure many of you would be, if what else can be healing for our nervous systems? What else can help our nervous system be ready for all that we are being I believe, called to rise into. Literally, it's as if we're being called to expand and rise into more of our full potential, not just as individuals, but for our full potential for humanity as well. And it sometimes feels like we're at this crucial turning point or this crisis point or convergence point or whatever you want to call it, that if it's almost like we have to, right? It's like we literally have to now. There's no staying like kind of where we are or slow walking, like kind of our evolutionary journey. It's like time for big leaps, steps and bounds in our evolutionary journey and the evolution of our consciousness and the evolution of our gifts and things along that line. But he's been indicating in the most recent messages that the nervous system also sometimes plays a role in, especially if there's a lot of emotions triggering things in the nervous system, plays a role in creating some limitations. So what can we do? What further can we, maybe something we can do, something we can, some action we can take, some shifts that we can make. Is there any like meditation or ceremony or anything else that he wants to recommend that would help the nervous system, since he has been speaking about that, be able to kind of reach where it needs to reach, kind of get to where it needs to get to, so that we can expand into that greater potential. If it is one of the things, if the traumas of the nervous system and the emotional triggers of the nervous system, or just the undevelopedness of our nervous system and how we can, because he's kind of indicated we can further develop it, so to speak. He's not something exactly that he said. So I'm just really curious about all of that, because I feel it in myself, even personally, since I've been paying a lot more attention to it, especially since these most recent messages that he's been giving, and just how much it like kind of sets things for all of us. Like, okay, we can only go as far as the nervous system is going to allow us to go, or we're only going to be able to handle as much as the nervous system is going to allow us to handle before we experience what's called nervous system breakdown, right? They're literally like a breakdown of the nervous system, which isn't just always a physical thing, right? Sometimes it's an emotional thing, sometimes it's a mental thing that happens, right? So it's not just that. So we are having so many breakdowns in so many ways, and yet here we are being called to kind of like, rise up to the next level, like, what's it called? Improve our game, if we were to use like maybe basketball terminologies or sports terminologies or something, we're being called to kind of like take it up to the next level. And maybe the nervous system can be helped by something that maybe he could reveal to us, in addition to what he's already been saying and talking to us about in those previous messages. So that's one of my questions. A question that was put forth by someone who was with me earlier in this previous online private event that I was doing, that would be interesting to find out about, that I thought also agreed would be a very interesting question, is the angels often describe us as beings of love and light, We've come in here to this time of the material energy of the material world, where things are very limited. They say that our soul is very eternal, very unlimited. And so why would we agree? Why would we create a soul contract with the being an eternal being of love and light to come into this finite experience? If we're not finite beings, but we are having a finite experience of time, why would we agree to that in our soul contracts? And then if there was some purpose associated with ascension, and if there's some purpose associated with that, what further things could be revealed about that, especially as he's defined in the past, ascension being the spiritualization of the material world, not the escape of it. Basically, many people think of ascension as kind of like, hurrying up, waking up, and escaping this material world, and the intensity of it, and the difficulties of it. But Archangel Michael has described, and the angels have described it differently. They say that the process of ascension is the spiritualization of the material world, not the escape of it, right? So if there's anything further that he wanted to say on that would be insightful for us, particularly with the time period that we're living in, when things are changing in such a rapid pace, when there's so much unrest, there's so much just uncertainty, the fear levels, the anger levels, the emotions definitely running extremely high, right? And I could say that this has been building, and it's definitely continuing to build. There's nothing indicating to me that it's not continuing to build. Part of this quickening that he's also spoken of many times. There's some recordings in the podcast on the topic of the quickening, and it has to do with this larger basically shift of the ages that we're all here to be a part of. I'm always interested in hearing about that, if there's any updates that he wants to give on that topic. And he doesn't tell me that I have to have a lot of questions, so I think that's enough questions for now, just enough to kind of get him started, or maybe again just to do honor the process so that he can go into a whole other direction if he wants to. So now that I put those questions out there, I'm going to go ahead and reveal to you, or talk to you about what the next steps of the process are for those of you who are new to this experience. Most of you have probably been before. I know this is short notice, so there couldn't be that many people that came on a Sunday night this late back east especially, but this was the only time that I could do it. But the process that I was describing earlier of praising, asking, thanking, receiving, and then back to praising again, those 4 things that are done in 5 steps, that process starts with and ends with the praise chant. The praise chant in the beginning will be a little bit more formal. Will also include Archangel Michael, and his name will be in that praise chant. At the end, it will be very informal, very short, very quick, just a way to kind of bring it all full circle. So the praise chant that I always use until they tell me otherwise, because again, they gave me this process and said it would always work until they tell me otherwise. So is Michael. This is a pronunciation of Archangel Michael's name. There's many different pronunciations in different languages around the world. This is the one that I receive, and it's Michael, El being an ancient Hebrew name for the divine, and then these other ancient Hebrew names for the divine as well. So Michael, Adonai, Elohim, Adonai, Eloheinu, Michael. So Michael, Adonai, Elohim, Adonai, Eloheinu, Michael. And remember, when we're saying Michael, we're not only calling in the energies, invoking in the energies, the presence of Archangel Michael, but also that divine name of El. So that name, that ancient name of the divine is also there. And Elohim, Adonai, Eloheinu, those names are all ancient Hebrew names for the divine. So that's the praise chant. And it's not praise in the sense of like, trying to boost ego or doing something because we have to. It's really, they say true praise is really an expression of love, really a giving of our love. And so it's done with power, with humility, and with love, right? So true praise is done with power and with humility, with gratitude, also with love. However, we have another opportunity to offer our gratitude later, so we'll just try to focus on being in that vibration of love when we're chanting it. So then we'll take us straight from the praising into the leading of an invocation, kind of asking Archangel Michael to come, asking him to respond to us, those types of things. I'll kind of take us through step by step of that invocation, and then the thanking. And so I want everybody to that use that as an opportunity, and I call it prompt you through each one of these steps, right? Use that as an opportunity to express gratitude directly to Archangel Michael will be first, and then directly to the divine, and then the receiving. And so what's instructed is for you to relax as much as possible. Let yourself go into a relaxed meditative listening state, so that it's not just me bringing the energy through my voice, but he can work directly energetically with you, because he's working with all of us. He's working with the entire planet. This is just the vocal part of the transmission. That's my role, right? Like I'm playing my role for being able to channel whatever energy I can channel, but then also whatever that energy I can channel and bring through my voice. That's the role that I'm meant to play. So I'm just bringing through the vocal transmission of that energy, but he can work directly with you. And a lot of people do tell me that they felt like he was speaking to them, or that he felt like he was right there with them, or that it was like, felt like it was directly, like personally, something that they were experiencing if they participate, right? And they let themselves kind of go into that receptive state. And it's best to listen to this also, listen to the transmissions when you're not driving, when you're not doing something that requires a lot of focus, because it is done in a meditative trance state. I'll be in a meditative trance state when it's coming through. I'll go into a meditative trance state and I'm hearing it at the same time that you're hearing it. But it's very meditative. It's very meditative in the way that he speaks. Sometimes he speaks slow, sometimes he speaks fast. Sometimes he has this rhythm. He has sometimes these different tones. Sometimes it's more of his serious tone. Sometimes it's more of his more masculine tones. Sometimes it's more feminine tone. And there's all these different tones that he uses in his moods, right? That he connects with and is trying to connect with us through. And so it's best to just let yourself receive, because of how meditative even the message that he's speaking is, and to be in that receptive state. And then as soon as he's done finished speaking, it's usually he says goodbye, or he'll just finish up in some way. We'll do the Adonai Elohim. Right after I throw in a little gratitude at the end, I always like to put a little gratitude into that praise there at the end. And then right after that gratitude, we'll do the Adonai Elohim just by itself, just a couple of times, Adonai Elohim. And then we'll be finished. And then after that, we can take comments. Okay. All right. So let's get ourselves ready. We're going to take a drink of water. We're going to get ourselves ready for the transmission here. All right. So we're going to make ourselves comfortable. We're going to sit back. We're going to close our eyes. I'm looking for something that I need here. I make sure the backup recording is going to. Make sure the recordings are all set. Okay, yeah. All right, that's happening. So we're going to close our eyes. We're going to start by taking a couple of long, slow, deep breaths in order to center ourselves. Now I'm going to begin the praise chant and ask you to follow along silently with me or out loud, because you're all muted, so you can do the praise chant with me out loud. Michael. Michael. Adonai Elohim, Adonai Eloheinu, Michael, 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 Michael. Adonai Elohim, Adonai Eloheinu, Michael, 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 Adonai Elohim. Adonai Eloheinu, Michael, 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 Adonai Elohim, Adonai Eloheinu, Michael, 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 Adonai Elohim, Adonai Eloheinu, Michael, 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 Adonai Elohim, Adonai Eloheinu, Michael, Michael, Michael. And now we're going to go to the next step, which is asking. So right now, the next step is to silently, in whatever way feels right to each of you, to call upon the presence of divine love and divine light, and ask that we be protected and connected by divine love and divine light. Ask that our light be connected in a circle of light, that we unite our light in a circle that goes beyond time and space, no matter where we are or when we are listening to this. That our light be united and united with Archangel Michael's light. To amplify our personal light and our collective light, and the light of this world. And then we personally, in whatever way feels right to us, invite Archangel Michael into our circle of light. Invite him to come forward to bring forth whatever light activation and light awakening he wishes to do for us individually, collectively, or for the earth and humanity collectively. Ask him to hear any and all questions that I've put forth on our behalf, to give us any answers or guidance to any of these things. Ask him to bring forth a message transmission along with his light activation. And we give him permission silently to speak freely to us about anything that he feels is for our highest good to know right now and for the highest good of all. And then we're going to move from the asking into the thanking. And we're going to let ourselves feel gratitude in our hearts for Archangel Michael. Then we're going to send out a silent prayer of gratitude, thanking Archangel Michael for the role that he plays in our personal lives, the role that he plays for all beings on the earth, all of his roles, known and unknown to us, all the things that he does, known and unknown to us. To sending out our gratitude directly to Archangel Michael. Then our next silent prayer of gratitude is going to be directly to the divine, directly to that source of all that is, for all of the blessings in our lives, for all of the blessings in our world, for all of the blessings that we are receiving and that we are experiencing, including the blessing of life itself. Now we're going to go from the thanking into the receiving. So I want you to all just deepen your breathing. Let yourselves relax even more now. Breathing, relaxing into a quiet meditative listening state where I want you to remain all throughout the message. I'm going to go deeper now into my silent meditation until the next words will be the vocal transmission coming through. In the silence, there is great healing. There is also great wisdom. and profound connection. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the tuning into and the experiencing of the vast field of energy that is the field of life itself, the energy field of life itself, where there exist all frequencies, all vibrations. It is important to listen to it. And not just listen to it for the purposes that many who are meditation teachers explain. There's so many beneficial reasons. But to listen to it for your nervous systems as well. It is not an easy thing to do, however, in your modern day world. You know that your body's nervous systems are moving electromagnetic energy, especially electrical energy. You know that your nervous systems function this way. That has been discovered, that has been known. But there's still so much more you do not know about that. And there's still so much more to be discovered. Not only about that energy that it is running through it, but the greater life force energy and the soul's energy that also interfaces with it, as I have been discussing in this series of messages thus far. But also there's so much more to understand about the collective field of energy. The collective field of energy that the soul is also part of. Even though it is not of this world, it is interfacing. It is in connecting, it is communing, it is incarnating, especially through the spirit, but it is incarnating in the material, in the world of matter, yes. It is not matter. You are not matter. But you are choosing, yes, all of you, choosing to have this finite experience of matter. And while matter is not the same, the material energies are not the same as the energies of the soul and the energies that are part of the vast collective field of all creation. It is also not separate from, not separate, but also not the same. Uniquely different, but not separate. And this energy field, it is always there. You are not separated from it. Even when you're in matter, even when you're having a finite experience of finite time, in a finite body, in a finite form, you are not separate from it. communion is, always has been, and always will be possible. And not just possible, available to you all. But where is the silence in all of this? That which exists beyond the physical ears is the true silence. Your physical hearing, however, is often disturbed. There are often sounds in your modern day life of machines, of things running in your direct vicinity or even farther away. And even if they are not audible sounds, there are still inaudible sounds. So you cannot just listen to the sound of silence with your physical ears. Increasingly in your world, it is becoming very difficult to do. Even places in nature where once it was easier to go to and listen to the silence. Listen to the field of all energies and all frequencies. Those who do it actually say sometimes, and are known to be quoted as saying, that the sound of silence can be even deafening, because they have experienced what I'm talking about. It's not deafening, but they have experienced the phenomena of what I am describing. That it's not no sound. There's not a void. There's only the all that is. There's not the void of creation. There is the all that is of creation. So you ask how you can help your nervous systems in this very important time where, yes, indeed, all of you need to answer the call of your destiny. Rise into your true soul's power. Be lifted into living your life of purpose. From a love-based consciousness, co-creating a love-based culture, and remembering heaven on earth. These things, the true great work at hand for all of you individually and collectively, cannot be done if your nervous systems remain in flight or flight. If your nervous systems remain only in one of those two trauma-based modes or emotional-based modes, or shut down, or overly stimulated hyperstimulated to where nothing can be received. And a few other states that are commonly experienced. These states are the most common ones. And there are many things that you all do and have done for millennia to try to shift out of those states, to shift the nervous system out of those states. Many things that are toxic to the body that get consumed or ingested. Many things that are toxic to the mind. Many things that are used to calm the nervous system, but they really don't calm it, they suppress it. Because the true calming of the nervous system does not affect the energy flow through it at all. The true calming of the nervous system also allows for the further activation of the nervous system's capabilities, higher powers that you are all capable of once your nervous systems reach a higher state of functionality. That suppression of it, repression of it, overstimulation of it, forced control of it does not allow for. It may allow for some temporary passage of time to go by, making it through from one day to the next, then the next, then the next, then the next. Existing, surviving, and being in survival mode, but not really thriving. Not in every way that you can thrive. And I'm not just talking about what people think of when they think of thriving financially, or thriving in their work or their careers. I'm discussing and describing every way that you have the ability to thrive on all levels, in all relationships. Life isn't just about surviving. And a love-based life certainly isn't just about surviving. You all must survive, yes. And you have survival all programmed in you. You all come from long lines and lineages of your ancestors and your ancestors that you've chosen for this lifetime, who are ancestors who are survivors. Surviving is one thing. Thriving is something else entirely. If your nervous systems stay in survival mode, then you cannot create and co-create. A thriving, love-based life on all levels. And co-creating that with others to create a love-based culture in your world. Love-based societies. I use the term love-based because I believe it is something you can understand a little more easily, because it doesn't mean perfection. Your nervous systems do not respond well at all to perfection and to the pressures that you all put upon yourselves. Far too much pressure that shifts your nervous system and your energy anatomy, which it is an extension of. It's an extended part of your energy anatomy. And so it sends it. Perfectionism, the attempt to think it or act it or try to be it or believe that you have to be it, all the ways and all the things that you do with it, has a very harmful effect on your nervous systems because it's against the natural order. Trying to be perfect, act perfect, look perfect, think perfect, speak perfect, do perfect, or think that you have to be perfect or pressure others to do it. These are all human constructs that are actually coming from traumatized nervous systems, that are actually coming from wounded spirits, traumatized spirits. Not the soul that knows that the perfect is the higher order. That you are not here to be perfect. You are here to serve the perfect, to serve the higher order, and to be an instrument for spirit into matter, yes. To integrate, interface, synergize, transform, transmute, transfigure, transcend matter through the integration of spirit into matter, which isn't done just by being alive. That's an important part of it, yes. The incarnation is a sacred, sacred thing. But the spiritualization of the material world and of the material energy also comes from being who you are, not by being perfect, being who you are. Bringing that soul's light through. Radiating your soul's light through. Shining it out now. Now, now, and now. And being an instrument for the light that casts no shadows, for the light that transcends the light of the world, the light of your physical eyes, to serve through you, live through you, shine through you. And allow that light to just shine through your entire nervous system, through your entire energy anatomy, through all of your chakras and your meridians, through your central energy axis, through your aura, into the collective energy fields. Into that field of oneness that you are all part and parcel of. Freely just allowing your light to shine. freeing your nervous system to light up the way that it is meant to light up. And the entire tree of life, which is all of the extended energy anatomy, that goes beyond the things that I've mentioned. Into that field of light that is all life. And as I have said previously in my teachings about keeping the heart open and at other times, light is love that you can see and radiate. And love is light you can feel. And so you can see the light of the collective energy field that you are part and parcel of. You can see and you can feel and you can also hear. And when you hear that field of oneness, you are listening to the sound of silence. Yes. But it transcends, as I spoke of earlier, what you may have thought silence to be. And since the world is filled with a great deal of what I would call sound pollution, does this mean that you still cannot listen to it? No. Absolutely not. It's all about where you focus your awareness. And this is yet another value and very valuable thing of meditation practice. It is not easy. It is definitely always not recommended to start with what I am about to describe, but you should always seek to aspire there to what I'm going to describe in meditation practice. Aspire to it. Aspire to listen to the silence that still exists, even in the midst of all other noises around you. When there is light pollution, and there is also a great deal of electrically generated light pollution in your night skies, that darkness is of the shadow that is actually a nurturing thing. The night sky is also something that is very calming and soothing in a connected way, as I've been describing, in a healthy way for the nervous systems. But just as there is light pollution, to use that as an analogy for what I'm describing about sound pollution, it does not mean that the darkness of the night or the night sky is not there. Because the light that you can see with your physical eyes that seems to be blocking it out to where you can't see that darkness only goes so far. Beyond it, beyond it, it is still there. And so I'm using this as an analogy to help you to understand that even if there are sounds around you, even if there are lots of sounds around you, you have the abilities, you all do. You all have the ability to listen beyond the sound that is in your immediate vicinity, that is in the immediate vicinity of your audible hearing, to listen beyond it. To the sound of silence that still exists beyond it, and always does, and always will, no matter how much noise is being made. But I understand that what I'm describing to you is an advanced experience in meditation. This does not mean that it cannot be a starting place for some people, but it is not a starting place for most people. But even if you do not find what I am saying to be something that you can experience yet, do not give up on it, ever. Because there is great value in listening to that silence. And not just with your physical ears either. Because the true meditative experience of it, even in what I'm describing of being in other sounds, is not just a meditative experience that can be reached with your physical hearing, but that goes beyond it to your spiritual hearing. With your spiritual hearing, you can always listen to it. And you can penetrate deeper into it than your physical ears could ever possibly. Listening to the sound of silence with your spiritual hearing, hearing it in your spiritual hearing. You are all capable of this. And if you try and you cannot experience it the first time or the 10th time or the 100th time or the 1,000th time, don't stop trying. What I say about surrender is a key to having it experienced and the benefit of that silence to your nervous systems, especially to the higher functionality of your nervous systems and all of what you're capable of in your higher capacities is extremely rewarding. What I say about surrendering, which is absolutely necessary to reach the deepest and highest of what you're capable of, surrendering never means giving up, not spiritual surrender. That's not ever what spiritual surrender means. It does not mean giving up. So never give up. As I have described it previously, it means giving it over, not holding it all to yourself. You use the words letting go, but it is not even that. It is releasing, yes. but not releasing into nothingness, not releasing into a void, releasing into the sound of silence, releasing to the silence, releasing to the source of silence. It is extremely nurturing, nourishing. It doesn't just nourish your nervous systems. It feeds your soul. There are other things that feed the soul too, and that can help to get you there. And it is not the only thing to reach. The breath work that I described, sacred sound vibrations. And yes, there are other things that will help to awaken what you are fully capable of. Some of those greater capacities of your consciousness, because there is no other time in human history other than the time of Atlantis and Lemuria. There is no other time, and there is none that is exactly like this. Where all of you must use your gifts. All of you must raise your consciousness. At least, at the very least, a critical mass of humanity. Because critical mass can reach and facilitate a tipping point. There's no staying where you are. There is no going backwards. If you keep trying to repeat the past, recreate the past, cling to it, hold to it because it makes your nervous systems feel calmer, I cannot tell you all of what will transpire if the collective of humanity chooses to do that. I can simply say that all of us in the angelic realm that are to serve you and to serve your highest good are very much using all of our abilities, working on every level we possibly can to serve you in a way that keeps you from choosing that, keeps you from doing that. To guide you forward, to protect you in every step of the way, to use your imaginations, to innovate, and your ingenuity. And all of the dormant parts of your imaginations that can also open up, that is far greater than any other. There's no other beings on the planet. And there's certainly nothing, and I do mean nothing, that has the capabilities that the human soul and that the imagination and co-creative powers of the human soul has. It's what sets you out and apart from every other creature. and creation on earth. And it's part of your destiny to use it all, to bring it out of the dormant state, the unconscious sleep state. Which is why it's often called awakening. Listen to the silence, even if only for a moment. Go places, and even better yet, create places that help to facilitate the experience. But no matter where you are, and no matter what seems possible or impossible, all things are possible. Don't rebel or reject against something just because you think it might be boring. Don't rebel or reject something just because you think it might not be fun, because your nervous systems and these different types of dysfunctional states that they get in have been trained and entrained through entrainment and conditioned through conditioning and entrainment to think that those dysfunctional states are what are entertaining or fun or enjoyable. The soul knows and exists in a state and a type of ecstasy, an ecstatic state of being. That is the nature of your soul. Being yourself, being who you are, the soul self that you are, is not a boring thing. Being in your spiritual energy, activated in alignment, entrained to the ancient order, the divine order, and the natural order is an ecstatic thing. The light that I send now to all of you, and that I will send through this transmission and through my transmission directly to the earth and to the beings of the earth, is a dancing ecstatic light. Allow it to dance through your nervous systems. Integrating the ecstatic soul that you are. and grounding. Breathe and ground. Through your feet, through your legs, through your spine, through your entire vertical energy axis. Through your root chakra. And through your nervous system. Experiencing it connect in a grounded and empowered, awakened and activated state. And so it is. At the end of the message, just take a moment to say a silent prayer of thankfulness and appreciation for the message and for the Archangel Michael. And we'll bring the process full circle back to the praise chant, just Adonai Elohim by itself. Adonai Elohim, Adonai Elohim. Adonai Elohim, Adonai Elohim. And then we slowly bring ourselves up out of the meditation. As we're coming up out of the meditation, I'll share a few things before it fades. One is how grateful I am to Archangel Michael and to all these angels that I've offered a whole part of my ministry and service to helping their mission on earth. And just so grateful to the experiences that they give me, the wisdom, the teachings, yes, and the understanding, but the experiences. I was experiencing everything that he was describing. And it's just a beautiful experience. I could hear the sound of the air conditioning blowing. I could hear other sounds around. I'm even having a little bit of a tinnitus type of experience, kind of hearing a high pitch frequency in my physical ears. But I was immersed in the sound of silence at the same time as he was describing it. So he was, sometimes I think they choose to give me the experiences of these things. So it's not just something almost approved to us. Like it's not just something that they're saying that sounds good. It's not just some, profound theory or teaching or spiritual philosophy. It's something that we can actually experience, and what I experienced is testament to that what he was saying. The energy at the end when he was sending this like dancing light, kind of looked like the way light dances across the ocean or light dances across water. It was, I could feel it kind of moving, and there was even some twitching and stuff in my left hand during that time period, and then it stopped. Um, and I had these crystals in my hands, and then after I released them, just kind of realizing just how um, strongly they were vibrating during that time too. That he was talking about the light that he was sending there, the dancing light, the dancing ecstatic light that he was transmitting. And that he also promises to transmit whenever we listen to this message too. So like when he says, even beyond this time and beyond this moment, he's assured me that when we invoke him, especially if we do the invocation again, we listen to, the message. So we're invoking him, invoking his presence, listen to it, that he will, bring through that energy again. So that not just something that is only during this time of the live transmissions, but the live transmissions, the reason why he chooses to do the sacred time, I could feel that the micromoon's energy, it's unique, right? It's completely unique. It's very, very subtle. The light is very, very subtle. And so this kind of added to that, contributed to that. And I was very overwhelmed. Also, in the very beginning, I thought he was actually going to talk about beauty because I was just overwhelmed with the feeling of beauty, the feeling of like just feeling something beautiful, this feeling in the presence of something beautiful. So maybe it was just his energy that I was feeling. And it wasn't like visual things. It was more like just feeling beauty and feeling something is beautiful, just feeling the presence of beauty. And so it must have been his presence. That's all I can maybe feel like why that was coming through. And there was this one message that I channeled from him that also I thought of at one point during something the time that he said, but I can't think about it too much or else I'm back into thinking. As soon as I'm back into thinking, I'm out of the trance state, the message is over, but it just kind of popped into my mind. It was the one about destiny. It's also in the podcast, I believe. It's further down in the list of answering the call of destiny. And there's something about that message that every time I listen to it, I think, okay, this is something that's going to just continue to apply over and over and over again. The teachings in there, and I felt a connection that to that message too. He used the word destiny a few times. He was responding using the word, but this is before he even used the word about it. And he said one of the things in that message, the one about destiny, he said one of the things when there's a call of destiny, like he's talking about us here, like this is a call we're all destined to like answer this call of destiny right now. When there's a call of destiny, even if we don't know how, just keep saying yes. And I kept feeling that also, like that. I kept feeling that he is just like continuing to like, okay, here I'm trying to give you some ways how, but even if you don't know how or if you feel like you can't, just keep saying yes to the destiny. Just keep answering the call with a yes. I say yes to my destiny. I say yes to it, right? It's like even if I don't know what it is, even if I don't know how to do it yet, just keep saying yes. And that stuck with me, and that rose in me during the time that he was speaking in this message. So, and that's something I'll continue to do. So now's the time for you to in the chat. Go ahead and put any comments you want to make, any questions you have, and I will go look at it as well. I'm going to turn off the recording for the sake of keeping it as short as possible. But it usually takes 7 to 12 days, something like that. Well, right now I'm getting ready to go lead a retreat, so I'll try to see if I can get it posted before I go. If not, it'll be after I get back from doing that. But I'll see if I can get it up, the podcast up before I go. But right now I'm going to go and stop.